As a nurse, we have the opportunity to heal the heart, mind, soul, and body of our patients, their families, and ourselves. They may forget your name, but they will never forget how you made them feel. By Maya Angelou. My career in healthcare began as the low man on the totem pole. After 3 years of being an ED tech, I realized I had the potential to become so much more. Now that realization took a bit of motivation and frustration from nurses I worked alongside. This comic strip helps really pull together the lack of compassion provided by some nurses who don't take the time to notice their patients. There were times I worked with nurses who were so disrespectful and rude to the patients that it made me feel 2 inches tall for the embarrassment that the patient felt. Those nurses rarely took the time to truly talk to their patients or attempt to understand why the patient felt that their current situation was an emergency. For many patient visits, the term emergency is subjective to that patient. It no longer means a life-threatening concern, at least in the eyes of healthcare providers. We have come to realize that an emergency to us differs from each patient we come in contact with. Regardless of why a patient enters the emergency department, I feel that patients deserve the utmost respect and care despite the complaint. Working in the emergency department in a community that lacks health care resources, many of our patients are repeat offenders, also known as frequent flyers. Most of these patients do not have insurance, need medication refills, or lack primary care physicians. After seeing these patients continuously in the emergency department, nurses become unsympathetic and many show this irritation in their body language. It is frustrating to keep trying to teach patients the same information over and over, especially when the patient asks for Dilaudid, sandwiches, and bus tickets before speaking to the triage nurse. These patients tend to suck the patience and life out of nurses trying to provide the best care to each of her or his 4 or more patients. However, these patients still deserve the same warm-hearted and compassionate care as any other patient that comes into the emergency room. Nursing is being able to provide ultimate care to a patient at their weakest moments and taking full responsibility to advocate for a patient regardless of the treatment a nurse receives from that patient. Sickness can bring out the worst in patients. It can make a patient angry and vulnerable. For a nurse, it can be emotionally and psychologically draining. I found that venting with another healthcare provider can decrease the risk of lashing back to that patient. Sometimes I just need a breath of fresh air to clear my mind and prepare for the patient's vulnerability. As a nurse, I want to always provide extraordinary, compassionate care to my patients. In the quote from Nightingale College, compassion means the feeling of concern and sympathy for others. This is one of the most important principles in the ethics of nursing. Showing compassion in the very busy world of nursing is a great virtue. I want to feel that I made a difference in the person's life. Nursing is not only about caring for the patient, it also includes the family of the patient. It's important to provide comfort and care to the family to help ease the difficult time they may be having. Compassionate care is needed for all parties who may be suffering during a difficult time. Being a nurse means comforting a family while providing care to improve the health of the patient. The art of nursing is expressed through the care provided to a patient. In other words, actions speak louder than words. To make a difference in the life of a person at their worst moments make me feel like an angel on earth. I'll have my tough days where I did everything in my power to help a patient, but God had other plans. I'll also have my wonderful days where the smallest thank you will make up for any bad experience I have during my career. During my hardships and even my good days, I also will keep this verse in the back of my mind. But he told me, my kindness is all you need. My power is strongest when you are weak. So I will brag even more about my weaknesses in order that Christ's power will live in me. Therefore, I accept weakness, mistreatment, hardship, persecution, and difficulties suffered for Christ. It's clear that when I'm weak, I'm strong. 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 9 and 10.